So this session we will explore how in-space and private players are shaping regulatory architecture and explore how capital models in deep tech space ventures reflect on how launch frequency, cost optimization, and debris mitigation intersect. It will also consider how space innovation spills over into defense, telecom, and climate monitoring. For this, we have the speakers Dr. Vinod Kumar, Director in Space, Dr. Subbarao Pavluri, President SIA India and CMD Anant Technologies, and Puneet Badeka, co-founder Eon Space Labs. And to moderate the session, we have Abhishek Verma, Partner and Lead, Digital Government Advisory, KPMG India.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, my distinguished panelists. And it's a privilege for me to welcome you all in this interesting session on escape velocity powering India's next phase in space. Space is a very interesting topic today. It's being termed as the new oil, and people are almost chasing it like the new frontier in economic growth. And with this, today's discussion will not only focus on the technological advancements the country has made in its space program, but also we will hear two viewpoints from panelists on where we are in terms of becoming a global space economy and what are the challenges which we are facing. So we have a very eminent panel today with us. Let me begin with Dr. Vinod. Dr. Vinod is a very known and distinguished name in India's space program. He heads the Directorate of Promotion in Space, and he has he's a very very deep expertise in not only in the space of the domain side, but also he's been interacting with industry, promoting, handholding the private participation in space. Yeah. So, Dr. Vinod, as we were discussing before the session, because of my role in KPMG, I also got to interact with NSIL within space earlier on. And what I discovered is that there was a tactical shift which happened few years back in the way organization interacted with the private industry. Not only it encouraged the private participation, it almost took the step of hand-holding them. So that's the kind of tactical shift had happened. I was privileged to be part of certain very important projects where private participation was, invited by NSIL. So having seen that change, my question, Dr. Vinod, is that we would request your thoughts on how the organization has evolved in terms of involving private participation, but also for the benefit of the audience and the industry representative. What is the next being thought about from NSIL? Yeah, over to you.
In space.
Sorry, in space.
So very good evening. Am I audible? It's working. Yeah. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this unique session on space exclusivity. Very interesting topic, friends. As you know, that in 2020, Government of India, under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, took a very bold decision where they allowed participation by the private companies in space sector. Means any activity they can do under the sun in space sector. So earlier they were working as vendor to ISRO, and ISRO was carrying out the end-to-end activities. So it was a very interesting turning point in the, or inflection point in the history of space, where from the technology from the four walls of government went to the outside, and they can do anything under the sun in space sector. So we were operationalized in 2022. We started with the government role is to lay a clear policy guideline, formulate the vision for the country's commercial space sector. In 2023, we brought out the Indian space policy, demarcating role of each stakeholder, what ISRO will do, what InSpace will do, what New Space India Limited will do, and what our new partners, non-government entities will do. They were authorized to carry any activity under the sun, including they can absorb the technology from ISRO, they can occupy orbiter slot, they can manufacture their own satellite or launch vehicle, anything they can do. Then came the formulating the decadal vision for the commercial space sector, which we have done, and we aspire from 2% presently around $8.4 billion to $44 billion, around 8%. Plus, please note that it doesn't contain the defense part, which may be equally or more than this. So there's a lot of opportunity. So that gives the first guideline by the government that you lay a clear vision. Then space is a deep tech, deep funding. You need a lot of money for that. So we came out with a many scheme for funding. This include a seed fund scheme of 1 crore giving to the any good idea, 500 crore technology transfer fund we have implemented, 1,000 crore venture capital fund we have implemented, and by March you can expect 3-4 companies are already being selected and investment will begin. It will be a big long, but yes, whatever, since you have raised this topic, so I would like to give it bit details. And we are working out many more schemes with the government. Then come access to technology. We have transferred over 100 technologies to private companies after our formation. Prior to this also many technology were getting transferred. Access to infrastructure, any lab established in the premises of Department of Space are made available to the private companies and they can use that. And they can use any lab, they can establish lab, that also we are doing. The next very big thing comes the capacity, skill development. So I'm very pleased to tell we have designed 12 courses in space sector covering each aspect in detail, like launch vehicle and propulsion system separate course, mission planning, we have one course. We have a course on designing brain of a satellite, flight mechanics. We have a course on skill, that entrepreneurship development in space sector. We have 3 courses in application. So like this, we have a dozen courses and we are started implementing. We will scale them up. I am very happy to tell around 900 people we have already trained using these courses within 1.5 years or so. We are awarding an assessing body of the government of India. Then comes the preparing next generation to space, to take the space technology as a career. Then we designed the space tech minors, got it approved from All India Council of Technical Education. I was thinking we were working with around 14-15 institutions, those who have adopted the space tech, 1,200, that kind of students were working. But when I announced one scheme for establishing space labs, it was really surprised to say 58 institutions came forward that we are also teaching space tech. So that's very interesting to know that each region of the country, each academic institution want to get into the space. The next come, anyway, we are a single body space regulator. We authorize in a time-bound manner, 75 to 120 days is the limit. Any proposal we will take online and process it online through. So that is, and one very, is the supervision of private companies. We have the pool of residence expert at our payroll, which we are paying. They are available for free consultation to them. So these are the some things which has been already implemented by IndiSpace. Yes, it will start showing the fruit of this. It will take little time. I think this answers your first part, right?
Yes, yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
And great to hear some of the key initiatives which Dr. Vinod, you talked about, putting effort on skilling, putting effort on making testing facilities available to private sector, initiatives like Space Lab. But what was particularly interesting is also, making certain steps easily accessible for private sector, which overall constitutes in the theme of ease of doing business for the government. So I think, yeah. So
That is a single window agency. We take, they apply to us, we take interdepartmental clearances also.
thanks. So my next question is to Dr. Rao. I mean, Dr. Rao needs no introduction, a stalwart in defense and space industry. Himself a veteran of ISRO for more than 15 years, and also diversifying from, if I may say, so upstream to downstream activities now. And so if somebody who represents the entire spectrum of knowledge from the government to the private sector side, we couldn't have got anyone better on stage than Dr. Rao. So Dr. Rao, my question is a little bit different. It's around the supply chain. So when we say a launch vehicle goes up, actually it touches lot of sectors along with it. It touches metals, it touches composites, specialty alloys, communication, hardware, software, you name it. So you being in the heart of the manufacturing ecosystem, what kind of gaps you still see in the Indian players in terms of supply chain, and where focus should be of the government as well as industry? Yeah. So over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation you extended to me to be present here. Thank you very much on that. And thank you for the introduction. See, they're talking about the supply chain management. In fact, I want to go a little more than the supply chain management in terms of this. See, ISRO, when they started the entire program about 65 years ago, there was nothing available in the country. So therefore, what they had a vision and as to how to look at the upstream side and downstream side. So first they began with the upstream side. And upstream side, what are the requirements is to atmospheric measurements. Then based upon that, the PSLV, SSLV, then PSLV. So like this, went on developing various launch vehicles on that. Simultaneously, look at the vision of those great guys in the country. They also started developing the satellites. The satellites, first we started with the Aryabhata, Bhaskara. That's the name of satellites that are given that. Somehow, we can put one satellite on the top and we should get some signals out of that. That's what learning process of that happened. And later, when the PSLV is developed from simultaneously from the launch vehicle side, so there, for LEO, so there should be a satellite also on that. The satellite, for Earth observations, because from the very beginning, the Vikram Sarabhai was looking at the space program for the country as the one that is required to be helpful for the common man in the country. That's how the entire program was started on that. So here is the situation where we have a PSLV, then Earth observation systems, one satellite, that's called IRS satellite, remote sensing satellite, that was built on that, and that was launched. Then of course the downstream side, a lot of applications also there on that. Now, when you come to supply chain management for all this part of it today, the situation, as all of you are aware, that electronic components not being manufactured in this country. So that's why we have a separate mission for doing the semiconductors mission for Government of India to develop those things. But right now, we're dependent upon something coming from outside only on that. So that's one, the critically. So though we have the technology, but this is the constraint that we have it. The second part is, ISRO, while doing their activity, they developed about 500 industries in parallel to help them in making things happen in the launch vehicle and satellite and various application side. In this, we have a very strong supply chain management. Tier 1 has been created on that. But when you come to Tier 2 and Tier 3 supply management part of it, still very nascent stage. That's where one has to look into that part. Yeah. And when it comes to the satellites, in fact, I'm going a little more than the question and answer part of it. And Dr. Vinod has explained about what are these policies and the liberalization that happened in the process part. Now, in this, the other area that we should look at is the communications area that also been liberalized. The communication area was liberalized by Government of India even as early as 92 itself on that. But the space component of the communication part has been liberalized recently. And of course, now there's a lot of requirements that's also happening in this country. Maybe I think in the next question I'll answer the more things on that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Quite valuable inputs. And then I think that's a very valid point that we have the technology, but electronics manufacturing is definitely an area where we are still to catch up. I mean, that's true for all sectors, space especially, because if we have to create sovereignty in kind of space manufacturing, that's the place to focus. Yeah. Thank you. So now I'll come to Puneet. Puneet Badeka. He represents what we call is the new age startup firms in the country. So Puneet, it's generally said that we Indians are, you know, less of inventors, more of followers. Everywhere you go, you listen to this. And although we are very good at following, we do a pretty good job. We establish big industries, successful ones. But when I look at space startups, especially yours, and unfortunately we could not have two more panelists today, the very basic premise on which these startups have been built is innovation. Yeah. I mean, in your case, what we've seen that both electro-optical sensors and infrared sensors in single frame, and that too miniaturized to an extent that you are actually achieving the value, and that's your key hallmark where your success resides. So, with this, my question is, Puneet, can you give us a bit about your journey? You have been a product of this new liberalization in space phase, if I may say so. How has been the journey so far, and what have been the challenges? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this introduction. It is my pleasure, first of all, to share this panel with these extreme expertise and the senior most people, and me being the youngest over here. So yes, being a startup, definitely it is our pleasure, because everyone does not believe in working in such kind of industry where the returns and the revenues are at a very later stage. But we come up with our expertise, getting into this domain where we want to first make sure that India is now known for its quality products. Therein we come in design, we at EON, so I come and represent a company called as EON Space Labs, which means as Earth Observation Network. So at EON, we design, develop, and manufacture the optical payloads that are being used in satellites, drones, UAVs, or even ground-based applications for a longer range of surveillance. It is a very challenging industry to work around in. So recently, we are, in terms of the Earth observation or EO/IR payload, if I talk about, India itself is requiring a demand of around $15 billion of surveillance optics, where there is no one in the country who is developing it. If I talk about EO, that is the day camera, the electro-optic systems, there is no one who is doing it. Where we come in picture by designing and manufacturing these precision optics in a miniature format, which can be used in satellites, aerial-based applications like drones, and ground-based applications. In terms of satellites, every gram matters when it goes into the space. So as in drone applications, because it gives them more endurance limit and more time frame to fly around. So what we have done is that by doing rigorous R&D efforts and manufacturing these precision optics in India, which is the major challenge, which we have figured it out with our past experience. We had a chance to fly our product, which we call that as MIRA, M-I-R-A, in space with ISRO in PSLV C-62. Unfortunately, the launch didn't went as expected, but we didn't stop over there. We had made sure that the product was qualified as per the NASA standards, as well as the thermo vacuum and pressure and other tests that are required for us to make sure that our product is fit to fly. We ensured that we were able to qualify all of those tests. The launch didn't went, it's okay. Nevertheless, we have some more things to try around. While this launch was happening, we had these certifications. We started getting queries of these payloads from international companies. More than 500 units of requirement we are having from 12th of January till date of these kinds of payload, which is huge. And not only international companies, as well as Indian companies have also started coming up with this. So that is a huge market that we are trying to come around in. In terms of IR, the infrared systems are basically the lenses are being manufactured by rare earth materials. Let's say for an example, germanium, which we are well known that our neighboring countries are putting a grip on that. The lead time of getting those raw material itself is almost 6 months. And the price is shooted of almost more than 5 times. Now imagine that price, if we'll get in 6 months, that to some units, where we will be able to capture the bulk production orders. Where we come into picture is by finding the alternate of those rare earth materials and developing those as well as manufacturing those in India. Which is why now we are able to complete the entire cycle as well as catering the challenges that we are coming up facing in this industry.
Thanks, Puneet. Those are very valuable inputs and great story success purely built around the quality and innovation you put in there. So maybe my next question, Puneet, I'll continue with you. Uh, we've advised a large number of companies who've operated in these specialized sectors, especially say defense, where demand is cyclic. Demand comes, you develop a product, and then you wait it out. Now, most of the defense startups or companies who are in innovative business, they generally aspire to be part of larger supply chain of global OEMs. So that kind of gives them the long-term visibility of orders and say collaboration around quality and skills. So, what do you think is the best recipe for success for space startups in order to in order for them to become part of the global OEMs supply chain?
That's a very valid point. And that is where the 500 units that I was talking about was coming from an international company. And that was the challenge where the ultra precision machines and manufacturing comes into picture. If we have those ultra precision optics manufacturing facilities ourselves where our experience comes in, we can cater those requirements. This was the challenge where they were not able to meet up this requirement, and then they had to approach to us because we made that noise, we made those things proven with that we can able to do and achieve all those things. Similarly, for all the space tech industries and other stuffs, it should be together that we can try to develop a complete solution. There are so many companies like satellite companies are there are optic payload companies, there are data companies that are working. It is possible only once we join hand together and give it as a complete solution, which will help the entire ecosystem for us to prove that we are developing this solution from end to end, ensuring that we are keeping a control of the project.
No, thanks. I think that's also very key aspect, that maintaining quality especially when you're planning to target international customers, because quality and consistency is something which will ensure that you are up in that club and you continue to be there. Right. Thanks. I'll come back to Dr. Vinod, to you, sir. This is around, we discussed that currently space, if it is to become a $1 trillion economy in a decade, our market share has to grow from 2 to 8 or whatever is possible. Now, with that kind of huge targets, what is the in space and the government's initiative to help out the private players with, on the financial front? Because space is a capital intensive, especially the upstream part is very, very capital intensive business. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, very interesting question. So as I have told earlier, that space is a deep pocket business. So first of the, what we did already is that we have revamped the foreign direct investment policy. Please note that earlier FDI, prior to 2024 February, it was totally administrative route, that too only in satellite systems. We have revised it completely. The upper cap is 100% automatic route and administrative routes are there. Now how it is defined? Like in subsystem manufacturing, 100% automatic route FTI is permitted by Government of India. You don't need any application, just inform I have invested this much to RBI and in space, you are done. So you can start manufacturing subsystem and payload at a very lightning speed. Then comes the satellite manufacturing. In the satellite manufacturing, 74% automatic route, and beyond that is also possible if there is some technology and other gain to the nation. That is also permitted by government. Because of launch vehicle being a strategic nature, 49% automatic route, and beyond that is also possible if there is some value in that. Keeping that, we want to stop there. We have a very big plans for our non-government entities. That is quality certification. For global competitiveness, it is necessary that they should be having certificate. Government of India has Quality Council of India. We have been discussing with them. We have approached the private companies, and we are launching the scheme next week with the help of Quality Council of India and Ministry of MSME Ministry. So we are working that. That is that our products should be qualified, and we are adopting this scheme as a very rapid pace. The very thing at the mapping of supply chain is very important. So supply chain also we have mapped, and we will start like satellite systems. We are releasing a document mapping the supply chain so that there should not be any dearth of component, and we should know which supplier is where. That is also another opportunity. Plus we will identify the gaps in that so that indigenous can be carried out, indigenous development of the products can be carried out in India itself. So there are a lot of things which we have been doing to build that trust. There was a trust initiative, TRUST, and we want to work with the international community. We are taking them to the foreign conferences and trade shows to show their prowess. So we have been doing couple of things, and I have touched some of the things here so that our companies are global competitive. And not only this, it will become competition, but it will bring the confidence of investors as well. So it is a double-edged weapon wherein you can certify them, plus investors are also happy, and your technology is also getting kind of approval from a government agency. So these are the few things.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Vinod. Again, very insightful. Because if you are a MSME or a SME in a specialized sector like this, one of the most important questions you always ask, who is going to help me out in say, prototyping, who's going to help me out in testing, who's going to help me out in certification, because these costs are sometimes so much prohibitive that smaller players find it very difficult to thrive and survive. So if there is support coming in those fields, I think it'll be really helpful. Yeah. Okay, so my next question, I'll move back to Dr. Rao. And as I said earlier, you are the best suited when a person has to show mirror to both the sides, private as well as government. So while we heard a lot about what government is doing, if I have to ask somebody that what else is required, what more is required, so there is nobody more suited than you. So Dr. Rao, and you have said in your earlier interviews I was watching that SpaceX can be produced in India. Why not? If only more support is there. So request you to throw some light on your views on that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Here I have a gentleman from the private sector on the left side, young man, and on the right side we have a government man here. So now I need to reconcile between the two. So let's look at an opportunity. India there's no depth of technologies at all. Youngsters like him, there are very many who have been trying to do many things in this country, and there's no depth of technologies at all. And similarly, and the quality, reliability part of it, in fact, ISRO taught a lot of things about that part of it, and they ensure that, the quality percolates down the line in the industries too, whoever applying, who are assisting them on that. Now let's look at the scenario where we have a policy which is very conducive, but here is a gentleman who can have that lot of technologies. But what is missing between the two? But still something is missing. Is it necessary that, let's look at the entire constitution of India and also how the government functions. From that angle, if you look at it, for example, he is making something very interesting that is on the optical payload to detect something on the ground. Either can be drone based or it can be satellite based. Now, what is to be done on the ground? Who manages the ground? Again, if you look at the agriculture is managed by the state government. Again, the government there in that. Water resources, again by the government. You talk about urban related activities. Again, urban mapping, urban related assessment of that, anything related to that, again by the government. So here is a scenario where government needs to come into the picture, not only just liberalizing a policy and making somebody to work, but whatever the goods supplied by them also to be bought by the government extensively. So this is where the lacuna still we have, and it is necessary that government should step in and underwrite, what you call it to any other term, or you call it to underwrite, or it can be a support system that can be created on that. Otherwise, these people, somebody from abroad will be buying the things, okay, they're selling it, they're happy about that part. It's not that way. The country itself has so much of demand in the country itself on that. If you look at the satellite data, how it's going to be used at various sectors in this, not on upstream, in downstream side itself on that. Today, in order to India to become the Viksit Bharat by 2047, every sector that is required to be developed needs the satellite data input. At the same time, even the communication satellites also can work towards the creation of the digital highways, which means entire knowledge transfer from urban area to the rural areas. The India is not just a Delhi or Bombay. So there are a lot of rural areas all around that. So in order to cater the requirements in those villages, in their areas, remote areas, the satellite is the only solution. So in order to support that type of activity, again, governmental initiatives, many things are required on that. So the policy liberalized, and people are happy that they got into that. At the same time, where and how will they sell the things into that? That's where we need government to step in onto that. Thank you, sir.
I want to respond to one of the point. This is very important that government should be the anchor customer. But what we are doing in that direction, we are conducting space awareness workshops across the government ministries and state government to take their demand. Not only demand, we are asking them, what is your problem statement which you are facing and which we can solve through the space tech. So we have announced a seed fund scheme where up to 1 crore we are giving them to demonstrate to that particular organization, government organization, the technology. And with the assurance from the government, it's a assurance means it is there that they have given problem statement. If it is solved, they will give the order. So this is a very important point. We have started this initiative and 6 announcements we have already made. The applications are under process, and we hope that once the demonstration is done by our private companies, certainly they will get the order from the government. So that is the way. We have to create a kind of likening for the space technology. Otherwise, kya hota, when you are having phone landline, it is coming through fiber optics, it is coming through space, nobody knows. But unless there is a demand, sustainability will not happen. So this is very important, and we have started the step. Already we have taken, I think around 19-20 workshops we have already conducted. And every month or two we are doing it, and one dedicated team is formed to implement this. Very interesting point you have brought, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod, and thank you, Dr. Rao. So I want to digress a little bit now to some other aspects of space industry. I mean, if you are studying space industry, you can't help but to study the most successful industry in past, say, couple of years, that is SpaceX. And I was just trying to see where they make their most of the money from. Now, the report which I went through clearly said they don't make most of their money from rockets. They don't make their money from other areas in business. The best part, the most profitable part is the subscription-based model of the internet services they provide through Starlink. The satellites they probably launch at the cost level. So I mean that's a dream of every large entrepreneur to have a subscription-based, consistent, assured revenue. Now, in your case, Dr. Rao, you have talked about diversifying into communication side and moving into downstream services. So, any would like to know your thoughts for the wider audience as well as people who are aspiring to be in this space. That how downstream is different than upstream, and what are your thoughts around it?
Thank you, sir. See, we're talking about Elon Musk. The kind of support the American government has given to Elon Musk is so enormous to begin with. Today, when he's launching so many thousands of satellites, for him, the globe is the market. When we look at scenario in India, where is the guarantee that Indian government or Indian, as I explained earlier, there can be kind of a support that can come from this part of it. I'm not skeptic in this part of it, but I tell you, government has to come back and underwrite to become the anchor customers for many of these initiatives, which are coming from Indian side. See, whatever said and done, we want to have our own children. We don't want to have the adopted children, isn't it? Normally, social studies. In the same way, This is something which is, the Indian one, they should support the India, by India, for India. That's the kind of scenario what we are looking at it today. Hopefully, the government will do that. When I was talking about digital highways, see, here is a scenario where the entire knowledge can be transferred to the remote villages and mountain terrains, and with much lesser cost. It is not necessarily that somebody has to go to the universities and colleges and to urban areas only to study. That can happen through the digital highways also. That is by bandwidth supplying. So therefore, the education policy of Government of India today, NEP 2020, and the digital policy of Government of India, and Ayushman Bharati of the medical related, all these programs support this. Gati Shakti programs, all these support. Hopefully, we'll be able to sell our bandwidth through knowledge-based systems to the individuals. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
If I
Dr.
may
Rao.
add to this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have recently seen educational institutes coming up with these satellites based upon the inspiration that InSpace is giving and what sir said right now. The college students are now coming up with the satellites which they are going to launch and which they have recently launched also. So that is something interesting that we are seeing now with the help of these initiatives that are coming. And also, as he pointed out the point, rightly pointed, that a farmer getting a message on his phone that today you have given a lot of water at this area, or this is the area where there is a pesticides grown. He's not aware from where is he getting those messages. All of these things we are getting it from the satellite data's communication that we are trying to do along with the AI/ML processing that has been done. So a drastic change is coming in this industry that I can see.
Thanks. And there is one topic which you can't avoid in any forum and meeting these days, especially when you're sitting 2 days away from the world's largest AI summit a few kilometers from here, is obviously I gave up the clue, is AI. Now, so coming back to innovation, I was just studying some of the some more startups in this field, and although Suyash could not come, Galaxy, one of the ways in which he uses AI is that he mounts an synthetic aperture radar as well as an optical radar on the same platform, and the imagery is then fused with AI algorithm because there's nobody up there to do it for him. So, do you have some thoughts around how AI can speed up the space sectors, especially on the innovation side, and help the startups like you?
Yes, definitely AI is going to be the game changer and it has already started. Satellite launches, the Earth observation payload, they are not just restricted of downloading the images and doing those on ground processing of those images and then trying to filter out and then running their algorithms on ground. In this launch that we have done with the PSLV C62, this was with a satellite called MOI1, which was in collaboration with a company called Take Me to Space. So they had their onboard processor onto the satellite system itself, where we will be capturing, if you wanted to capture a specific area, you just need to put up their algorithm from ground, real time onto the satellite, and the satellite will process that data and will give you the data rather than giving the images. So with this, you can try to cater 1 month entire image and data set, rather than getting all of these unnecessary images because you'll have to filter it out, the clouds and other application things. AI is helping you to get a real-time data as well as final analysis of these problem statements. So this is definitely going to do. And as you said that Galaxy, they have been doing very beautiful things that is combining synthetic aperture radar along with the electro-optic systems. That is an again further advanced technologies where they are going to give the actual coordinates and real-time scenario data for the problem statements.
On 18th of this month, around 10:30, at Sushma Swaraj Bhavan, we are having a dedicated session on Beyond Earth, how AI is reshaping the complete space industry. We will cover what all AI can do. So I request all of you, it's a very interesting session covering including Beyond, how India is using AI in edge computing. Beyond is there, how Mars landing and moon, how fall detection, each aspect we shall be covering there. And I request all of you, I take this opportunity to tell you, please join us on 18 in Sushma Swaraj Bhavan at 10:30. Thank you.
Sir, can I have a small quick clarification?
Sure, sure.
As he said,
once a startup demonstrates and establishes what they have developed, commercially a order is assured. So are we trying to say the age-old tendering system of the government, even in limited tenders, you must have 3 at least? Is that being
So may I request you to use the mic and maybe...
Yeah, I
maybe
think my voice is
10
loud enough.
But 10 seconds, maybe introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, Vineet Chaudhary. I'm a mechanical engineer by education, an entrepreneur running a family business enterprise, almost 100 years legacy. So, and I do work for aviation, not for aerospace though. We've been used to a easiest, simplest tendering system in the government, which is called limited tender, and 3 parties are required. So we were always asked, okay, you've developed a unique system, but how do I buy it on a single quotation? So at times we were forced to give even within the house 3 quotations. So now my question to you is, you were saying that you will give an opportunity to somebody who has demonstrated, and he will, if he is successful, he or the organization, startup is successful, they will be assured of a commercial order, so that they are happy and they want to move forward. So
Very interesting. To start with, it's not compulsory, but yes, your tendering process, there's an alternate to it. So what we have done, after taking the problem statement, we will announce it to the public. You come to us, give the solution for this. Let us say 20 application came for this. It will go through a committee process, and they will select maybe 1, 2, depending upon the suitability. The suitability part has already happened. The public announcement has already happened. If you have not qualified there, you are not. So we are going to give you the best technology. Later on, other process can come in. But first, he will get the opportunity because he has gone through a complete process of selection, announcement, selection, and then demonstration. So he is more qualified. And there also competition is there. We can select there 2 or 3. So many places we don't find even 2. So person doesn't have technology, how he will quit? So we are not. We are very clear in this. We will follow all the norms, but in a very transparent manner.
no, that's
my
perfect,
answer.
sir. But you said it yourself. Sometimes they are not even 2. So my question is, what happens if one is very successful, he has met all your expectations, he has passed all the testing, and he has demonstrated a very successful prototype and good to go for the final production? What do you do then when you have
Sir,
only one?
Sir, I am telling you, L1 system is slightly different by QCBS. Right? There we give weightage 80% to technology, 20% to the financials. So there's already dilution of L1 or L2 is happening. Those things are
What
very
you are saying, T1 and
Yes.
L1, I
Yes.
appreciate that.
So-
Okay, I understand. I have lived through that for 45 years and
understand, but some changes coming, sir.
Yeah. So
This is through transparent process. आइए मैदान में अगर आपके पास टेक्नोलॉजी है तो करिए. Who is stopping you?
but good to see, Dr. Vinod, these government taking those steps to appreciate quality and make sure they
Interesting question. I said.
they procure quality. Yeah. Okay, please.
Hello, my name is Siddharth, and I'm a journalist at Times Now. So my question is also related to storytelling. Like defense, the journey of space, India's space sector has been a remarkable one. But unlike defense, a common discourse around space is not, there is a awareness gap. A common Indian you will find be speaking about Sukhoi, Rafales and all that because it is defense sector. But we don't find, only one time I think entire India was glued to their TV screen was during the soft landing in Chandrayaan 3. Otherwise, in general, we don't see people talking about the space sector and its journey and what all they are doing. I would ask Mr. Rao, ISRO, why are we failing to make documentaries or films around the success stories of India's space sector so that it can be mainstreamed into
Dr.
the
Rao
public
is not from ISRO, but he's ex-ISRO.
Ex-ISRO.
He's chairman
He has
of
been
Advanced
associated.
Let him answer. I will
I have
add.
answer for that.
Okay.
ISRO has many documentations, many documentary things, the press notes being issued under that part of it. And I can tell you, the common man in the country is aware of what's happening in the space. it's a wrong notion to say that, they are not aware of that. They are aware of that. Because whenever the launch happens, they go to the TVs and then look at the TVs, what's happening also on that. With the success or failure, whatever they call that, okay? It's not like, since I want to answer the other things also along with that, if you don't have permission here. You see, number one is, there is a technology development. Technology development should be looked at in a different way. It should not be like, laying the road or, some drainage or something of that kind onto that. So this is to be looked into entirely differently. So since you are from the Times of India, through this forum, that Economic Business Forum of ET, I would like to appeal to the government. I want all of you to join hands and appeal to the government that they should become the anchor customers for all this part of it. Otherwise, the efforts of the youngsters will go through the process what he mentioned, finally. And they may win, they may not win. And how long they will stay in this business, we do not know. Then they may give up with frustration, they get into some other business or whatever, that also could be possible. So therefore, I want to appeal to the government of India through you that you should avoid the scenario which our gentleman has mentioned here.
Yeah, I will add to what Dr. Rao has said. See, we have two things for this. We are developing the space culture in the country. This is through rolling out the competitions, model rocketry and can-size satellite making competition. I will be very happy to tell when we have announced it previous year, there were 75, 80 applications and around 30 launches we could do. Last year, 160 applications came from across the country. And we chose 70 plus as toppers to participate in the finals. In 4-5 days of competition, when we have asked how much print impression is there, it was 28 crore. So you see what kind of thing, competition, they are making launch vehicle. The first launch vehicle made by a student team is around 15 kg. And it has all the cameras. We have never seen in our own ISRO launch vehicle camera telling the lift off mounted on the body. This is interesting. You see our competition topper. So like this they are doing, they have already started working on this. The student teams, undergraduate teams, they are working. Can-size satellite is, just say the can-size satellite, but it's 7,000 plus cubic centimeter. That kind of space we are giving to them to launch and do their capabilities. So that is the way space culture we are trying to develop in the country. Second, coming to the TV point, very important, you have touched my nerve with that. We have a plan to start a channel, a space channel. But where my approval is stopping is you don't have enough content. You come forward, all of you. I give all the media people, Times Now, each come forward, give the content, give the confidence to the Government of India. We will start. We have all the things in place. Channel will come, everything. We are stopped at the content. We are working on this. Certainly you will see a space TV, but I urge media people to come forward and try to help us, guide us in generating the content, tell the revenue model so that it can be self-sustainable. So that's the answer for your...
I can take a little bit Dr. Vinod in saying that don't only look at ISRO. ISRO, yes, they have brought up our space program from scratch. We all have those, we all remember those photos where a nose cone was being taken on a bicycle and a satellite for a test on a bullock cart where 150 rupees was paid. But also look at the new startups. We could not have Ravinath here today. First 3D printed engine in the entire world has been done by him. Mobile launchpad, mobile command and control centers. One story about Galaxy, I already said the kind of innovation and what Puneet has done. So these are also the stories, contents for which I would request everyone to come up with, and definitely will add value to what is being planned here.
So in short, a lot of rocket boys have to come up, and that's your job.
I think on that note, we have to conclude this session. And there are
I
other rocket
request-
boys standing outside to attend another session. And thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and Space TV and about content that he spoke, which is very good. I would like to ask my photographer to please click the picture.
First, I request moderator to conclude the session and have the group picture.
Okay, thank you so much. And it has been really wonderful, interesting, engrossing discussion, and had to be space is such an interesting topic. Generates passion, generates interest about innovation, and with such an eminent panel group, it had to be. So thank you to all my eminent panelists and everybody in the audience. Yeah, thank you.